The New York City nightlife mayor walks into a bar. What does she order?
A Manhattan.
A Manhattan. Shit, baby, because you know what? We had champagne on deck, but girl, Ariel, I'm a Manhattan drinker. I am a Manhattan drinker, and right now I'm gonna have Josh, who's on the sidelines, he's gonna run to the bar. He's gonna grab that sweet vermouth. He's gonna run so fucking fast, it's gonna be...
I'm cool with water.
No, we're gonna have Manhattan.
with champagne.
Because I have champagne on deck for you, but the fact that you said Manhattan, and it is actually more fitting than anything else because you are a Manhattan girl. You are a born and bred Manhattan girl.
Facts.
And I'm not a Manhattan born and bred girl, but I am a Manhattan do or die. And I think you know that Manhattan is made of the people that were born there and then the transplants that make it their home. And they're equally as much part of this city's vitality and the people that love it. We're gonna make it a rye Manhattan, and it's gonna come with this lo-fi color here. Cheers to the New York City nightlife mayor, Ariel Palitz. Like, it is such a fucking joy to have you here.
We're
gonna get into that. Yeah, cheers. Ariel Palitz, welcome to Now We Sip Champagne. So I invited you on here and we were supposed to sip champagne, but then it was like, I asked you, I said, when the New York City nightlife mayor walks through a bar, what is she gonna order? And you said,
Manhattan.
Manhattan. And like, this doesn't surprise me, like, not one bit, because you are quintessential Manhattan. You are New York City's baby. You are born and bred. As a matter of fact, I wore this black and white cookie earring for you. It's my favorite cookie, but it's also the cookie of New York. I also wore this New York fucking city hoodie from Option A from the East Village or the Lower East Side. And it's because I know I'm sitting in front of New York City royalty. And, you know, we follow each other. We are always in the same circles. We have lined up quite a few times. We've never had a chance to actually like sit down, just you and I, to get to know one another. And I'm dying to know like your story because I feel like we have very similar stories in different cities. You know, I was born and raised in Vegas and I was raised in Caesar's Palace. Like my life growing up is its own wild story, and I know that you have your own, and so much so that it has led you and your career to be the first nightlife mayor of New York City. And just so you know, I have been your biggest fangirl forever. You don't know anybody, and like before I like opened my first bar, I knew who you were, and I was like, oh my God, she's like my idol in this sense, and she owned her own bar. She was a babe that owned her own bar. She fucking did this shit, and now she's the fucking NYC. And not only that, but you're out there. You're always out there. You're always out there supporting bars, supporting venues. And this is truly an honor for me to sit across from you and to be with you. And you said it recently. You said it must be podcast season. And just so you know, like everyone does have a podcast. It's kind of the way, it's the new medium. It's the new way of communication. But I think it's a really beautiful way to sit down and tell your story and to connect to an audience and let them get to know you in a way that maybe they didn't get to know you. And so thank you so much for being here.
My pleasure. And it's my honor to sit across from you too. You are also an amazing boss babe.
Oh, well, cheers to a couple of boss babes that love their fucking Manhattans, right?
Amen.
Yeah, hey. And like I said, you know, it was in that episode of Sex and the City, right? And it's a famous quote, and I know you know it and I know it, but it's basically like, obviously there's the people that were born there, but it's the transplants that come that love New York with their whole heart. Like, New York is the love of my life. She's my soulmate. You know what I mean? Oh my God, it's the most toxic relationship you could ever have. It pushes you, it pisses you off, but like, where else could we go? Where else could we live? And my mother actually is from Canada. My grandparents on my mother's side, they migrated from like Germany, and then they came to Canada for a better life during a certain time period. And my mother was the black sheep of 6 kids, and she was traveling, and she was in Hong Kong, and she went all over. And then she went to Vegas, and she saw the lights of Las Vegas, and she like fell in love. And my mother is Miss Las Vegas. Nobody loves Vegas more. She's 75 years old. She is a dealer at Mandalay Bay. She was the first female pit boss. She was the first female dealer. Anyway, when you have someone that like...
That explains a lot.
Yeah. It should explain a lot.
It really does.
My parents met in a nightclub. They met at the Elephant Bar, which was a famous nightclub in Las Vegas. My dad's from Syria. My mother was, she was a hot little blonde, and they wanted her to be a cocktail waitress, or they wanted her to be something. And she's like, no, I want to be a dealer. But there were no female dealers in the 70s, right? So she was like, I want to be a dealer. And so she did what she had to do to become a dealer. And then not only did she become a dealer, but she became one of the first ever female pit bosses in Las Vegas. At Caesar's Palace, she was the first. And when I was coming up, she changed our entire home to be like a dealer's school to help other female babes learn how to deal, learn how to be a boss in Vegas. Like, my mom was a pioneer. She even wrote books, and she put it out in bookstores in Vegas about how to deal. When I was 8, 9, 10, she taught me how to deal blackjack. She taught me how to deal poker, pie gal. Like, that was my lifestyle. And since she was a boss at Caesar's Palace, she had her own office. My babysitter, we would go to the different restaurants. Like, that's how I ate. But I was literally raised in a casino. My dad's side hustle, aside from the gambling, was a limo company. So he drove all the limos, and he drove all the limos to all the most important places with all the most important people. So between my two parents, we were that hospitality family, and it was a wild, wild upbringing. Obviously, this is the reason why I love the nightlife. I love the clubs. I love the nightlife. I love that energy that comes with, people ordering drinks and getting their buzz on, and then the music. Like, my mother, you can't see it right now, but on my arm, and I think you've seen it before, I have Sinatra's signature tattooed on my arm, but it was from Frank Sinatra to my mother. So that's something that I just traced and signed. So I have this upbringing in Vegas, but New York was where I wanted to be, was the love of my life. And you have this very similar upbringing in New York. I know you do. And so I'm dying to know. I'm dying to know your story, babe.
Well, I mean, your story is incredible. You're incredible. And I think what you've done with, all the tools that you've been given, and with your passion and vision, I mean, you've created something extraordinary as a woman bar owner. And all the things you do is definitely a continuation, of other women owners before you. And I can say I'm extraordinarily impressed and proud and amazed by everything you do and the way you do it. Super honored to be here with you today to share a little bit about my story. It's all an evolution, and you're definitely, a continuation of that story. And it's a sight to behold. What you've done is extraordinary and amazing, and will inspire so many other people too.
Shit, babe. Thank you so much. It's like, I don't know. Sometimes, especially like when you're doing things, you don't know the impact you're having on others. Or I have definitely learned that sometimes you go through this hell because I think, as a bar owner, there's no glory in that shit. All you're fucking doing is like handling, and everyone wants to own a bar. There is this like allure of owning a bar, to say, I own a bar, to be able to get people drunk, to get them laid, to get them drugged, to get them whatever. Like, there's this allure, but they don't know this like other side of that story where, fuck, man, you're on call 25 hours a day. You don't fucking get to enjoy your life as a human being. You are literally at the beck and call of like so many fires, and how are you going to fix this? And then before you know it, the ice machine and this, everything's fucking breaking down on you. So they don't know like what it truly means to own a bar. And I think we go through this hell to be able to pay it forward, because there are aspiring Ariels, there's aspiring Cortneys, there's aspiring people out there that want to do like what we did. And so we go through this, and then we, as many times as we possibly can, we communicate our story to like help them get through it. And maybe just helps them through one day. Maybe it helps them through whatever process. But I mean, you owned a bar way before I did. And, I, of course, knowing your story, like, I know that you were like heavy in the nightlife scene, and it's because your parents were heavy in the nightlife scene, right? Like,
well, I don't know if I would say they were heavy in it. They enjoyed it. My, dad was a businessman, importer, exporter kind of person. And my mom entertained at home and parties and so forth, but they definitely went out as well. Lots of photos of my mom getting ready for studio or other places to enjoy New York. definitely champagne problems kind of people, and enjoyed what New York had to offer. So I don't know if they were like hardcore nightlife people per se, but I know they knew how to enjoy life. And my mother very much understood the art of hospitality in our home and how to create a beautiful vibe and a beautiful room and to make people feel welcome and to enjoy themselves. And that came very naturally for her. And that was something I was able, I think, to observe, growing up as something that was cool and important.
Very important.
Yeah.
Like very, very important. Like
Very important.
because I am constantly, like that one, I'm like called like the mom of our group, to be able to like pull everything together. And like you said, that's the word. It's a word that we use now. I'm not exactly sure what the word was back then, but Martha Stewart talks about it when she was the host with the most. Like she talked about, you said the word vibe, and I agree. It is a lot of different things that come together that, you need to welcome your guests with something, whether you have something maybe personalized or you have something that's like just there for them. You have the music that's just right. You have the hors d'oeuvres that are just right. You send out the champagne and make sure that that's just right, and welcome, and you look beautiful, and how are you? And thank you so much for being here. And you're on. And to be a host or hostess, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work, like you said, to curate this vibe. You're giving a lot of yourself. You're giving your home. You're giving your energy. You're giving all of these things. And then obviously, when you really know how to design something like this, like it shows, people have a great time. They come in. This is the best party that I've ever been to. You provide the entertainment, whether it's the music or, like my mother and my father, they were the same way, especially when they had money. I remember my house at Christmas time. We had, because in Vegas you have yards. We hired this company to create these billboards on our front lawn. So we would have like, the theme of Disney characters or the Muppets, like huge billboards. And then when you walked in, we had a real Santa. We had nothing but elves running around. And then Santa with his gift bags, you were getting like expensive gifts. Each kid got an expensive gift. And we had the staff that was walking around to make sure that all the adults were very well lubricated, very well enjoying their time while their kids were running around. And while my parents had money at this time, and then it was nothing but alcohol flowing and presents flowing, and Santa was there. And obviously you're Jewish, Santa's not showing up at your parties, but you know what I'm saying. If it were a Hanukkah party, everyone's getting something really nice. And like, I know what that means because my parents were that. And then my father, he was the one at the end of the night belly dancing on a table or, making sure. So you left that party every single time thinking this was the greatest party I've ever been to. Like we got a PlayStation leaving this party, or not a PlayStation because this was like 100 years ago. But I remember my parents doing the same thing. They were Mr. and Mrs. Las Vegas. They threw these parties.
I think your parents probably were more epic partiers than my parents were, but it's nice to know that you have parents that know how to enjoy life.
Yes. But they sometimes a little too much.
Right.
Sometimes a little too much. But so your parents definitely gave you this intro to like you said, what does a vibe look like? What does it take to curate? Because this translates to a bar. If the music is right and you've got your staff and they've got the energy and then you've got some drinks going on and the sound is good and people just like, they want to feel something. They want to, and this is why I've been so adamant about like staying in New York and like fighting for our nightlife. And I see you all the time, and I'm always piggybacking on something that you've said, or like I totally agree. Yes, we both know that people are drinking less. Fine. People are drinking less. The pandemic came, it fucking changed everything. It changed the world. People maybe drink less, a younger generation, maybe they smoke more, okay. But there's still a ton of fucking people that want to go out. They want to listen to good music. They want to just like let loose. And it's really important that we still let this happen. And I'll tell you something. I actually had a friend of mine. She was somebody that I worked with in one of my first bar jobs. She's going to be 50 this year. And she was a boss bitch from Chicago. She taught me everything when I had one of my first bar jobs at Rum Jungle, which was a club in Mandalay Bay. And she was like, yo, bitch, if you can't fucking change a keg, you're not going to fucking hang here. Like, she was a mother hen. And she was like, I'm not going to let you be some prancy bartender around. Like, change the fucking keg, carry the fucking case, get it fucking done. Some diesel fucking, babe behind the bar. And she was telling me that she feels like there's going to be this like comeback of like our generation of people that like want to drink more. They want to enjoy themselves and connect more, because in this current landscape of people that are very much in their phones and they're not looking at one another and they're not connecting, like, it's nice to have a drink and connect. Like, I always say that, like, life happens with these four walls, but all industries or all walks of life come together to break bread. We all fucking come together to break bread, to have a fucking drink, to like rap about our day, to learn about one another, and this connection, like, I don't want to lose this. And I think that you have always felt the same way. You've always been New York City's nightlife #1 cheerleader. You're no longer holding that title, but you're still holding that title. You still fucking go out. You are still the one in everyone's fucking comment section saying, no, nightlife is not dead. And I agree. I'm on Bowery. And Nur, he opened up his place next door, Maison Nur. I've also got, the Ripple Room that just opened on the left of me. And at 11:30, 12 o'clock, people still want to go out.
Hell yeah.
They still want to go out. They still want to fucking go out. So
Definitely.
why do you still love this industry? Why do you still want to go out? What is inside of you? Because I don't know how old you are, and I just turned 40 in May, and people, they have a certain idea of what 40 should look like or act like or be like, and I'm like, no, I want to go out. I want to go out. It lives inside of us, right? Like, it's always been, kind of how I am, but like, why are you still the champion for New York City nightlife?
Well, it's not really an industry, it's a culture, and it's, I think, an essential part of keeping vibrancy and energy in our individual lives, as well as keeping an energy and a flow in our society, in our economy. I think it's a primordial need to connect. There's a lot of spirituality in being out around people in a room with a good vibe and a good sound system and good lighting and good people. It is cleansing, it's elevating, it's reviving, it restores my faith in humanity and myself. It reminds me that there's a greater energy source in the universe. Like, it's church.
It's church.
Are we drinking to that?
Yo, baby, because I see what's going on in your eyes, and you have me a little emotional right now. So like, yo, Ariel, it's church.
I mean, it's just deeper than that, it's just deeper than get people just getting drunk or getting laid or all the things that people rest their stigmas on about not just nightlife, but life at night. I just feel like there's so much more purpose behind the party. I feel like it began when, in prehistoric times, when people gathered around the fire and fermented whatever and drank and danced and connected and made out and got too high or just let go and danced. I think it's ritual. I think it's connection to the divine. And I think the better you run a bar, the closer you are to God.
Yo, that shit's beautiful. Ariel, that shit's fucking beautiful. And you know what? I've never thought about it in that way, because so the way that I always say it is like, yo, we got to vibe until we die. We got to vibe until we die, because we're all racing to that same endpoint. We're going to sit in a chair. We're going to lay in a bed to fucking wait to die. You've probably carried someone through death, and I've definitely done that. And I am always about like, move your body. The way that always with my venues, I make them very interactive. Move, dance, get up. Like, I put a fucking coupe glass and champagne promise, so you get inside and people are like, Can I get inside? Yeah, guy, girl, up to 1,000 pounds, fucking get inside. Like, be a kid again, because, yo, when you become an adult, shit gets heavy. All we're doing is like, what we have to do, pay the bills, do this, do that, go to work, blah, blah, blah. And so when you talk about that, oh my gosh, we have to stay connected to some sort of magic in our lives. And you are right. It is that church. And people that are very religious, they know what it feels like to feel either God or whomever that they pray to come through their bodies. But like, this life is not worth living if you don't have that. And a spiritual connection, my God, it's so true. Like, I was a dancer, like, my whole life. I love music more than anything else. Like, I can do anything with the right fucking song playing. I could be up for 10 days in a row. You put the right fucking song and I'm just like, I feel new life. I feel new energy. And you are 1,000 fucking % right when you say, like, we need to get people out to live until they
it keeps
die.
you healthy, it keeps you young, it keeps you, I think, in a healthy place, which is sort of the opposite of what some people think about nightlife. Oh, well, I used to go out when I was younger. I don't have the energy. I don't like to drink. So I don't want to go out. Like, people, I think, sort of, resign themselves into settling into a older energy and existence because they feel like they've aged out of socializing. And I think the pandemic really showed us like how dangerous it is actually to not socialize and not have each other and not be around other people. We saw a rise in suicidal tendencies. We saw a rise in relapse, a rise in depression. People within marginalized communities where this is their found families, and even your bar staff, that you create. We're creating families, and the regulars that come, their family. And it's all around a shared love of the same type of music, the same type of fashion, the same type of way of thinking. And so, again, it's just so much more than just sitting at a bar and getting drunk to forget your champagne problems or your all kinds of problems. It is helpful for that. It is very helpful for that, which is why, I do believe that alcohol, as much of a bum rap as it does get, and as much as people are drinking less as they've become more self-conscious, and I think becoming more conscious as people is a good thing. It's part of evolution, and people maybe want to tune in and not check out as much, especially after all that we've been through. But alcohol can be medicinal. Cannabis is medicinal. All the things that we can take to soften the blow of life can be medicinal, and if it's used that way,
Listen, you're 1,000% right. Once upon a time, alcohol was literally used, especially in the army, way back when.
Even cocaine or ecstasy were originally medicinal. It's the idea of abusing that, or, when you have a beautiful place like you've created, you're setting the tone of what should be happening in this place. You are here to enjoy yourself and to connect and to have fun and to enjoy the beauty of a beautiful cocktail and the beautiful person and beautiful music. You've created beauty. There's some dive bars where you're just going there to sit and get rid of the pain. Yeah. And that's good too. That's important too. What we do during the day is we are part of the machine, the society, to keep the economy going, to keep society going, to keep civility going. At nighttime is where you can be your true self, find your like-minded people, and find new ways of being too. So I think it's just about seeing life as a 24-hour experience, right? A 24-hour economy, a 24-hour culture, and not judging daytime is good, nighttime is bad, which has been sort of a prohibitionary era stigma
Right.
that has not really evolved until really recently, I think, with the creation of this nightlife mayor movement that, I was the first in New York, but there's over 100 around the world. The first ever was in Amsterdam, Berlin, London, really being able to understand how to reframe a framed industry to see it as an asset, not as a liability, and to make sure that the city and all the enforcement agencies and so forth that have historically punished people who run life at night, who live life at night, and to see how they contribute in so many ways. And that's why the Office of Nightlife was created, was to support the city that never sleeps and everything that happens. I mean, say what you will about Mayor Eric Adams, but he really understood that, I think, more than any other, elected.
You've never seen a mayor out more than Adams.
I was appointed under Bill de Blasio. He was the one that, saw and allowed the vision for the creation of the Office of Nightlife after Councilmember Rafael Espinal, after meeting nightlife mayors around the world and speaking with the Hospitality Alliance, of which we're both members, and I was a founding member. It's really about changing the way we approach the nightlife and life at night. And Adams, people would always be like, well, he goes out every time, all night long. And it's like, what? He gets up on time. He has a green juice. He meditates and he makes his meetings. And he, again, say what you will about him, but he really was not a false fan or a false prophet for nightlife. He really understood what the jobs and the culture and the everything that nightlife brings to a city. And he not only enjoyed it, but supported it. And so as somebody who did work under him, I will give him that credit. And I think we benefited from it in so many ways. After I left my office, after 5 years through the pandemic, building the office from scratch under 2 mayors, that experiment was proven as valuable because there's a successor, Jeffrey Garcia.
Yeah.
There will be another nightlife mayor after him.
It'll be me.
It should be you.
It should be me. It's going to be me. I don't know who's our next mayor. We both know that.
We do not know.
We do not know yet. We obviously know who's contending right now. And we know that position is chosen by the mayor. It's not an elected position.
That's true.
Yep.
It's appointed.
It's appointed. So, but it is something that is on my goal list.
I know. I think you told me that the first time we met.
Yeah.
You're like, I'm going to have your job.
Well, more so when I grew up, I want to be you. More so
That
when I
was
grew
it.
up. Yeah, I didn't want your job. I didn't want you to be done.
No, I didn't feel.
Yeah,
it's
not
fine.
like that, but more so like, and it's just, it's important that like you held it, especially, we talk about our industry being a boys club. It's a boys club, right? Like, but you were the hen in the cock house. You've always been the hen in the cock house. So when you become that hen in the cock house, you make it available for other hens. And so that's why...
Well, there was Amy Sacco before me and Uli Rimkus from Max Fish before me. And, I can think of so many. I think it is male facing.
Yeah. Yeah.
But, I mean... We know that the women, in the room.
Yeah. We know that the babes are doing...
The good thing about being a woman owner, as I'm sure as you know, is like we just see things through a wholly different lens.
Yes.
And we're able to be more intuitive about potential problems. We can be more preventative, more sensitive. When there are issues, whether it be fights or the police showing up, not everything is a cockfight.
That's right.
We know how to de-escalate, diffuse, and to improve the situation without it getting out of control, because not everything is tied to our immediate ego.
Right.
And so, I think it's a good template for just all industry and government. Obviously, there's a lack of women perspective in the room. I think we would be in a lot better place in the whole world with more women at the helm. We've seen what happens when men take over. It's just a disaster.
It's a fucking disaster, babe. I am famously that people, they've heard me. I always say like they go back or they talk about how women are not paid enough or they're not CEOs, and I'm like, the reason why women are not CEOs is like because they cannot fucking turn off their fucking heart the way, or even sometimes their brain the way that certain like men can. I always say that. I've worked in hedge funds. I've worked in every industry that's like possible.
But you need heart in order to make better decisions.
To make better decisions. Once you've turned that shit off, you can be a fucking criminal. You can fuck your brother. You can fuck your best friend. You can fuck your mother. Once you fucking turned off certain qualities about yourself. Women can't do that shit. Women were born to be able to give birth to another human being. They literally are the only ones that are able to give fucking life. And then their body is connected to another fucking human being. Like, of course they're emotional creatures. My God, thank God for women.
But it's not a weakness, it's a strength.
Of course it's a strength. Yeah. Of course it's a strength. And yes, there are times in business where you do have to turn off your emotions in the sense you can't be sensitive about every little thing because you got to be fucking tough.
How long have you owned?
8 years.
Yeah.
3 bars, 8 years.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm sure you know how to turn it off.
You got to turn it off.
I'm sure you know how. And actually, I'm like a major empath myself. Like, I could literally, like, feel everyone's pain within, like, a 10-block radius.
Yeah.
And so I'm really actually, even though, like, I'm a city kid and whatever, like, I'm definitely a hippie, probably at heart as well. And I probably would have been doomed to be a pleaser and constantly putting other people before myself and, not knowing where my boundaries were if I wasn't a bar owner. I mean, when you're a bar owner, like, you literally learn very easily and eventually how to say no and how to cut people off and how to make quick decisions without it being personal and without it being emotional.
Yeah.
Right? Because you don't have the luxury of being able to feel bad about everything.
About everything.
And it's not
oh my God,
possible.
Someone's upset. I'm like, oh my God, that happened a year ago. It happened 3 seconds ago. But like, oh my God, I have so many new things to think about in my fucking brain.
It's a luxury in a sense. But actually, I feel great about where I landed, and I do feel like I'm able, like when I am sort of mentoring women in business, like it is absolutely possible to be able to make very quick, decisive, unemotional, valuable decisions on the fly based on just the rapid fire in the way that nightlife and hospitality are, and the amount of sycophants and leeches and people who will take as much as you let them. You learn easily when to say no.
Yeah.
And it is possible, and it's a gift.
Yeah. Fuck yeah, it is. Fuck yeah. Cheers to your gift, baby. Let me just a sip of this fucking gift over here. So,
yeah.
Okay, so, all right, so talk to me about Sutra. Okay. Tell me about how that came about and why, why did it come about? Yeah, tell me, baby. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I always like to say, growing up in the city, you go from spin the bottle to bottle service.
Love that. Fuck yeah.
So and sort of probably in Vegas too, like you're going from like slumber parties to the slots, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Very, very quickly. Like, I had, I'll never forget, I was 12, and there was a pair of twins in my class. Fuck, this is a heavy story, but they became professional escorts at age 13. One of them died from a heroin addiction, and the other one, she's like far gone, but like 13.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so like when you talk about spin the bottle, I feel like
when you I wasn't going that far.
Yeah. It was like fucking. Yeah.
I mean, I'm sorry for that, but more in a social and fun way, where especially where you have parents who are doing their thing, so you go and do your thing. And so I really enjoyed the city and the bars and hanging out with my friends and being out at night. And in New York, especially at that time, it was really about the gay community and the hip hop community and just the party community and everybody being together and really shining so bright and really creating space for joy in where there's a lot of, like, in a lot of these people's worlds there wasn't joy. And so I felt the love so deeply in those rooms. I hate, just the word diversity just really doesn't capture it. It was just like, just the beauty of life,
Yeah.
And so that's where I just felt very early on, where I just felt good. And then I wound up, working in some venues and going out in venues early on before college as a promoter, and like just working like with my friend Michael Tron, who was one of the original like club kids
Yeah.
that I grew up with, and working like just helping him like let people know they were on the guest list and stuff. There's like really like low rung promo stuff.
No, but that shit was like real. You had to either call somebody.
Yeah, write out flyers.
Yes. Oh my gosh. You
stamps.
were like, you're on my list. And you had
My
to call.
elbow once got stuck because my hand was like in this call position for so many hours that I couldn't actually like straighten my arm.
They don't know. They don't
Yeah.
know what we used to do to fucking
But I mean,
curate
it's
a
about
party.
passion, devotion, excitement, all of it's just so cool and felt so amazing. And anyway, I went to college and I wound up doing this live music open mic jam session called the Solution.
Okay.
And it was a common ground for diverse expression. I was at the University of Hartford. We had the Hart School of Music. We had poets. It was really about trying to bring the campus together and
Yeah.
unity within our diversity and all that kind of at our university.
Yeah.
A lot of rhyming. I also was really immersed in college about studying culture. I was a cultural anthropology major with a religious philosophy minor and a concentration in ceramics. I was like really like digging into how people express themselves through art, music, and dance, how people have found mystical and ecstatic experience through music, art, and dance throughout time, and how those experiences were universally true. People would express and explain and write about the same revelations they would have throughout hundreds of years with the same language. And it just like was so interesting to me. That was what I studied, how music, art, and dance were universal truths.
Yeah.
Through religion and culture.
Yes.
And so when I graduated college, I just delved even deeper, I think subconsciously, into creating events and spaces in which you could elevate your energy and create this magical space where people felt like they belonged and connected. And so I wound up doing parties called, again, the Solution. It was an open mic jam session with live music and DJs for gospel, hip hop, rock and roll, jazz, spoken word. It was just like meant to be a real common ground. And I would like just create this house band that I put together, and we would rehearse and have rehearsal spaces. And then at like SOBs, Rebar, The Tunnel, Anarchy Cafe, and Belmont Lounge for almost 5 years. I would have these parties like once a month or every week, whatever it was. And I would have people come in with their instruments or their spoken word or their drag And I would rotate them spontaneously in and out of the house band.
Yeah.
And I would say, it's time for another revolution in the solution.
Ooh, yeah, baby.
And so, but then during the day, I would work at like PR companies, record labels, catering, whatever it was to support my partying and my parties. And then I wound up evolving into event planning because I thought that was like more grown and more professional than promoter. I went into event planning and I would do like fundraisers and galas for like the Lower East Side Girls Club or, you know, helping to promote an album or things like that. And then eventually I wound up getting approached by a friend of mine who I grew up with, Greg Link, who's in PR, celebrity wrangling. He's like, I'm opening up a bar across the street from where you live. I lived on First and First. And I've lived on First and First forever. I've lived on 4 corners of First and First.
Oh, shit.
And he's like, you know this neighborhood. What kind of drinks? What's the prices? What's the music? What's the vibe? I was like, why don't I just like invest in whatever you're doing? And this way I could, you know, have a piece of my own venue instead of having to like deal with all these, you know, chauvinistic, over-sexualized Neanderthals.
Have a say, be in it,
So it used to be Bar 16, which was a legendary underground DJ-driven dance club on First and First. When Greg and his male partners purchased it, they wound up calling it The Flat. I was an investor in that space. I was not a fan of the name The Flat. I always joke because I'm like, nothing sexy's flat.
No,
I'm not wearing a T-shirt. Right, I'm not wearing a T-shirt that says flat.
Flat, like hello.
Flat ass, flat tits, flat hair, flat tire.
Flat tire,
Nothing cute is flat.
Nothing cute is flat.
So for a year, they did well. I was an investor, but, you know, it was more like Lindsay Lohan, Ashton and Demi, and that kind of stuff. And after a year, actually, it didn't really, it was like, did well, like in People magazine, but like, I think there was, again, just too many men in the mix. I was the only woman. I wasn't really fully listened to all the time. And I had heard through the grapevine that they were going to sell.
Okay.
That they were in debt and they were going to find some guy that owned like a elevator company in Staten Island who was going to take it over. I tracked that guy down. Excuse me. Wow.
Take a sip. Wait, are we under champagne now? Because let's just...
I'm
Cheers
vacillating.
To Staten Island, because
yes.
I didn't think this was going to go to Staten Island.
It went to Staten Island.
Cheers to Staten Island and the elevator companies.
I tracked the guy down. I was like, listen, whatever you're planning on doing, you're going to fail.
Yeah.
And humiliate.
Flat out.
Yeah, flat out. And he's like, well, I'm going to do it and blah, blah, blah. I was like, whatever you're doing, I want half. I was like, believe me, you need me.
Believe me. You need me.
Yes.
Ooh, we need to get that on a fucking shirt for you. Believe me, you need me.
Well, after about a month, he was gone. He disappeared. I wound up taking over the flat with $150,000 in debt. I peeled the vinyl flat off the window and kept it running for a few months with no name. I didn't go to the community board. I didn't go to the SLA. I didn't know any of like the ways to do it. I just was fully raw dogging the whole thing.
Dogging.
Got the apartment upstairs. Within 3 months, I renamed it, relaunched it, redesigned it, called my ex-boyfriend, who is Moses, who is living in Miami.
Hold on to all your ex-boyfriends.
Oh,
as
yes.
many as you possibly
Especially
can.
the ones that are inventors, furniture designers, muralists.
Yes.
I
date for the free labor. You should too.
Not wrong. But he wound up coming in. I was like, I just need you for 3 months. I just need to revamp this place. You can go back, do whatever you're doing. He came in. He helped me re-envision, redesign the whole space. And after 3 months, he was like, I'm not leaving you here alone with this 250 capacity, 2-floor, 2-bar, 2 DJ booth, nightclub on the corner of First and First, alone. And he got the apartment across the hall for me and was just like the wind beneath my wings for a decade.
Oh, shit.
And platonically.
Yeah.
And is still my best friend to this day.
Oh my God, me too. All my ex-boyfriends are well, two of them are my, like, I call
Yeah.
them my small council. We're in like a group chat,
Yeah.
Frank and Pete. Like, I don't do anything without them.
I couldn't do anything without him.
No,
to
nothing
this day.
without them. Like, I sucked it as a girlfriend. It's whatever.
Yes.
Like, Frank's
Everybody thinks we should be married. I was like,
no,
we're so much deeper than that.
for life.
Yeah.
I told his wife, we're soulmates.
Yeah.
And so you're gonna share a part of his soul.
Yeah,
We're
that's a
fucking soulmates.
prerequisite for any
And everyone's
girlfriend
like, this is
and
so
any
weird.
boyfriend.
Yes,
you
yeah.
just need to know
Yeah, you just
that
need
this is family
forever. Forever.
And he, he dedicated his life to making sure I didn't get stabbed in the back, and I didn't. And we did it, for 10 years.
Sutra.
Cheers to that.
Cheers to that, baby. Woo! I got chills listening to that story.
It's amazing. Within 6 months of running it as Sutra, which I like to just mention, we named it Sutra. I wanted it to be sexy but not sleazy.
Yeah.
Spiritual but not cheesy.
Kama Sutra. I got you.
For foreign but familiar.
Yeah.
Not Kama Sutra. That would be cheesy.
No, you can't say the full thing.
It's just
Sutra. You're
which
right.
means like a suture.
Yes.
To connect and bind together.
100%.
And so it was meant to be a common ground for diverse expression, like the Solution.
Yeah.
And my company is Solution, and always will be. And it was meant to be rock and roll, hip hop, country, Bollywood, gay, straight, freaks, everything you could imagine we were. But I wound up also booking Tony Touch, the Mix Master King, on Tuesdays. I was like, let's do some old school hip hop on an off night.
Yeah.
And it turned out to be really what we are eternally known for. Because at that time, hip hop was seen as a liability. There were racist door policies, racist dress codes. People just equated hip hop with violence. And I'm like, New York is like the birthplace of hip hop. Hip hop is our anthem.
Yeah.
And not only that, we had Kool Herc, Red Alert, Kid Capri, Tony Touch, Rakim, Bambaataa, DJ Premier, anybody that was the forefathers and foremothers, Salt and Peppa, Eve, whomever, in our midst, living amongst us. And they really didn't even have a place to go.
Yeah.
And so we opened the doors to that. No drama door policy, no racist dress codes. We didn't discriminate against skin color or weight or what you were wearing. It's not what you wear, it's how you wear it. 300-pound mama, you come in, girl.
Girl, with
We
their
love
curls,
you.
if they are fit.
5 guys looking for girls, you know what? You better come correct.
Yep.
Do not disrespect.
Yep.
And we defied every fear. Nobody ever died. Nobody ever got shot. Listen, there's always going to be a fight. You're always going to get into a car accident with a car. It's not about what happens, it's how you handle it when it happens. So I'm so proud of the legacy, the hip-hop legacy of Sutra. It wasn't the intention. The intention was always about a common ground, but the real intention was about having people feel loved and belonging, and that's what we did.
That's what you fucking did. Yo, Ariel. So, we hear this, and I know you hear this, whenever I hear about, racism in New York City, I'm like, what? I'm from Vegas, right? So, nobody give a fuck about your skin color or which hole you wanted to put it in. We were always about the hustle. I came up with strippers and doormen and celebrities and, wild. So, that was never
But that's real life.
That is real life.
Think, that what people don't realize is, we come from a very puritanical sort of world right now. I was in Italy a few weeks ago, and I went to Pompeii, and you saw this frozen community, right? There's bakeries and there's shops, and there's brothels, and there's all of this, like, just sort of part of everyday. There's gambling. And I was like so amazed by just how it was assimilated. And this was pre-Pope, right? It was,
Right.
Listen, I love spirituality. I respect religion. But I think that the introduction of this sort of holier than thou, misinterpreting religion as to for judgment is really where we go wrong in society. But there are good and bad people. There are people that live all kinds of walks of life. There's people that enjoy life in so many different ways. And there is consent and there is business. Like, they actually monetized and thrived with gambling and prostitution, gay and straight. They accepted humanity for what it was, and they accommodated it instead of oppressed and repressed it. And so at night, it's more real
Yeah.
than the stigma and the fear and the prosecution that goes with a puritanical society.
Right.
And so I feel like we're more real at night.
Of course we are.
And the people that run night understand that. People go out at night. We understand. Listen, we also understand where the line is, right? There's no violence. There's no taking advantage. There's no crime that is ever allowable.
Right.
Right? And as women, I think we have a superpower to be able to foresee that shit coming. I can imagine how many times I used to walk through a dance floor and see a girl frozen against a wall, like a deer in a headlight. And I would be like, "Are you okay?"
Yeah.
And she would look at me with those eyes, and I would just move him aside and
Yeah.
take her away.
Yep.
And I would say, "Honey, why didn't you walk away if you didn't want to be there?" And she's like, "I didn't want to be mean," or like all of this like head drama that keeps people in trauma.
Yep.
And we have to use our spidey senses, right, to navigate and keep everyone safe, because safety is first, always.
Yeah, 100%. And the thing is like, yo, I love to club. I love to rage. I like to get a drunk, get a buzz. I used to work in clubs where I used to pull girls out of a bathroom. They had overdosed. They were dead. Like, that shit's wild. That's like, I left Vegas because my soul was turning black. Makes some terrible decisions, as long as you're not driving and killing anyone, because I did live that in Vegas. Because in Vegas, it was a driving city. So you drove. We had a lot of lawsuits of, and I know personally, unfortunately, certain people that drove, and that was like the wrong choice. But
people make also wrong choices in all kinds of contexts. And like, as like the director of the mayor's office of nightlife, like, it was really my also mission when like, oh, there was a shooting in a club, so we were going to shut the club down. To vilify the club is the problem.
Is the
so
problem.
Like, do we vilify Madison Square Garden or the airport or the school?
No. Absolutely.
So
the fuck
like
not.
That's like the work, right? And
Yeah.
so I think the way I sort of like pivoted into politics was not my intention, obviously. It came from within the first year of Sutra. I was the number one noisiest bar in New York.
Love
I
it.
had the most complaints on 311 than any other bar from one chronic complainer.
We know this.
So
we know these people.
We know, and most successful bars have one. And that one turns out to be like a laughing, like the butt of a joke. Oh, that's so funny. But actually, they're really destructive. They weaponize 311. It's anonymous. They can call. It's automated. And so I wound up having, especially when you have a Black and brown or queer community, or if you're just successful, right? It's one of the few industries where the more successful you are, the more champagne problems you have.
That's what it is. The higher the ladder you climb, the more that they want to pull you down.
Right. And that's a universal
That's
truth.
a universal truth, baby. That's a
But,
universal truth.
you know, most enforcement is complaint driven.
Yeah.
And so here you are, this stationary business that has a chronic caller, and I've got 3, 4, 5, 600 calls. Like if you called 911 that many times, that person would be arrested.
That's
But
right.
311, it's perfectly acceptable because you're calling against a bar who must be doing something wrong. So as the number one noisiest bar in New York, I was activated, politicized. I was thrown into a position where I had to not only defend myself, but the industry at large.
Right.
And I did that by being a founding member of the Hospitality Alliance in like 2006-ish, joining the local community board. I was on by their instruction,
Yeah.
Hospitality Alliance, and Scott Stringer, who was the Manhattan Borough president at the time, wanted more diversity on the community board, joined the community board. I was on the community board for 7 years while I owned Sutra.
Oh, I believe it.
And was called like the voice of reason.
Yes.
Right? Because they'd be like,
I'm on CV8, the Upper East Side Community Board.
yeah, well,
No.
which is where I grew up.
Yeah.
So for that whole time, like I wound up being a de facto representative, not on purpose, but just to like this is ridiculous. Like just because someone's complaining doesn't mean it's valid.
No.
A valid complaint. So anyway, we wound up getting marched on like a march operation, which is essentially a raid, multi-agency response to community hotspots, a Giuliani special that was resurrected after it was created, after the Prohibitionary era, the State Liquor Authority was created after Prohibition. And this multi-agency response was born in that, was dormant for a while, resurrected through Giuliani. Most venue operators that were either extremely successful or of color, of marginalized community, queer, what have you, had to suffer through those based on complaints. We survived for a decade. We thrived. We had an amazing run. After 10 years, I was like, I think I'm done. And I was like, why are you closing? Sutra's still so great. I'm like, what am I going to wait for like a plane crash? Am I going to wait for the shit to hit the fan?
It's like an athlete. You want to go out on a high note.
Yeah,
you
like
don't want to wait
anything.
till everyone says that you're fucking tired and worn
Or
or
wait
whatever.
for a raid, or
Yeah.
wait for some unfortunate incident.
Go out on your time, on your decision. And like, a decade in New York. And not only a decade in New York, but you were like a pioneer in so many fucking ways. And you had to be the pioneer for so many fights. So like, I mean, like, to say you're an icon is
Well, I mean, like, I guess to use a Jewish, Passover phrase, Dayenu, like it would have been enough to just run the club. Like that would have been enough.
Yeah.
But then, I took a year off. I sold the club. I got key money. I just followed the sun. I went to a yoga ashram for like a whole month and laid in corpse pose. Like,
oh my God, I need to do that too.
You'll do it eventually.
Babe.
But then I started a consulting company called Venue Advisors, and I was just like, I'm just going to help other people do it so I don't have to. I got my real estate license because nobody in commercial real estate really fully understands the pain of selling your own club.
No, they don't.
So I did that for like 2 years, and I always knew it was a stepping stone. It wasn't like a dream job per se. But it was something I knew I had to do because I just knew too much.
Yeah.
And I could help. And then that's when Raphael Espinal and de Blasio created the Mayor's Office of Nightlife. And everyone's like, this is you. You need to apply for this. I read the job description. It was like my biography.
Yes.
And so I applied. I put my application through the portal. I wound up going through like 7 interviews. I think that hundreds of people applied for this job. And ultimately, Mayor de Blasio he appointed me, and I was the founding director. That was in 2018.
Yeah.
I sold in 2014.
You were the choice. You were there. There's no other person that could have put that position on the map, could have given that position life. You were the choice. That's it. That's all there is to it.
I'm extremely grateful for that.
Yeah.
And, I wrote a 1,500 word memo about what I wanted to accomplish. After 5 years, I read it, and we did that.
Not only, so you did that, and now Jeffrey has been mayor for two?
I guess it's been, I left in April 2023. He was appointed.
2 years.
Yeah.
And
I'm so grateful.
Oh, he's great. He's a wonderful, and definitely, but you are still 2 years out of that quote unquote position.
I'll always be the first. Let's put it that way.
Not only you will always be the first, but like, yo, baby, you're still doing it. You're still going to the places. You're still posting. Every single time there's a new place that opens, you're there. You're there, and you're supporting it.
But
and
I'm doing it because I want to be there. Like,
Yeah.
I was in that position because I love it.
Yeah.
I don't go there because I'm in that position.
No,
that's where I want to be.
That's where you want to be.
So, I just want to say, like, 5 years in the position, we created that foundation for an infrastructure for that to be able to go on for decades.
Yep.
Where you're a translator, you're a representative, you're a voice, you're amplifying the voice of the industry, but you're also delivering the message and the support, and you're dealing with systemic problems that have been there for decades and dismantling shit and also implementing shit. Like, one of the most a few important things we did, like, as we know, enforcement is complaint driven. People will complain. Some have valid complaints, some don't have valid complaints. People who run hospitality, like, the last thing you want to do is be torturing somebody while you're bringing joy to 300 people.
Right.
So the way the 311 system was working historically was not conducive to repair.
Right.
It was not conducive to giving the venue the benefit of the doubt. It was not conducive to communicating to the venue where the problem was and how to fix it. It was just enforcement. So one of the first things I did when I was in the office was I created a program called MEND, which it stands for Mediating Establishment Neighborhood Disputes, which worked with the Center for Creative Conflict Resolution at Oath, which is the Office of Trials and Hearings. And they had this mediation program that was like this little thing in this huge agency, and created a whole citywide program that helps residents and venues communicate on how to improve conditions, as opposed to simply complain and punish. And also help to identify who were weaponizing the system and who are invalid complaints, and giving the venue an opportunity to create a case for themselves. So that's something I'm super proud of that exists today. We also dismantled March operations and created a mediation program called CURE that helps police, fire, health, building, state liquor authority work with venues before punishment.
Yes.
Before coming in at midnight and shutting a place down.
Right.
And giving $30,000 worth of tickets and criminalizing and vilifying a venue who, even if there's gunshots outside.
It's not the venue's fault. We can't control the humans.
Sometimes you're creating a condition, sometimes you're not.
Sometimes you're not.
How do we improve safety, improve quality of life, improve the relationship with a venue and a resident without full and total vilification of a venue.
Right.
And to improve the quality and preserve the business and improve the relationship. So that was something we did. We created the Narcan Behind Every Bar
Yes.
campaign, which got codified into law that provides free training and free Narcan kits behind every bar.
I've attended that training, absolutely, 100%.
And we also navigated the entire industry in 5 boroughs through the pandemic.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, you did.
You know, and also created a dedicated multi-agency working group between not just fire, health, buildings, police, but the mayor's office to end gender-based violence and the mayor's office of cultural affairs. And how do we envelop and include these cultural institutions at night into not only like, are they not dangerous places, but they're actually places where we can create safety, create improvement in people's lives.
Right.
And create safer spaces through cooperation, not vilification. So, you know, super proud of all that. And that just came because of just passion and love for people, for the industry, for the culture, for music, and because somebody had to do it.
You deserve every accolade, everything that's always been awarded to you. But I mean, and I know that many people know who you are and what you've done. But for any of the people that are like brand new to the scene, that are maybe watching this for the first time and they're seeing the New York City's first nightlife mayor, understanding that this is a born and bred New Yorker who has New York City nightlife running through her veins and who loves it at this point, after everything you've fucking done, after owning a bar, after being New York City's first nightlife mayor, after all of the fucking punches you've taken, and you still fucking love it. That's to be respected.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, it's to be respected. And I am, like I said at the beginning of this, honored to have you here. You do this because you love it, and the love comes through. And the people that it comes through for are the ones that you're saving their lives and you're helping them with their own.
Well, it's really like a social justice movement, which is what people really don't fully understand, like at its core. Like, it's really about fairness and about justice and about freedom and about having space for people to be their full, diverse, and real selves. And that's really like what this fight is about. It's not, I mean, yeah, there's the fight for the right to party, which is also really important.
Yes, baby.
But there's something behind that right.
Yeah.
To fight to party. It's about having the right to be yourself, regardless of what the powers that be want you to be.
Yeah.
And so you should be Black and proud. You should be queer and proud. You should be Latino and proud. You should be whatever it is who you are to be. You know, I'm looking at your nightclub map of Harlem during the Harlem Renaissance. You know, that is where Black and white people were really first able to socialize by breaking those norms, those injustices. It really was through nightlife in so many ways. And so, you know, this fight is not just about the right to have a drink. That's where my passion and my love for this comes from, and nightlife is the vehicle for that.
That's exactly right. Nightlife is the vehicle for every life, every fucking life, every walk of life. Like you said, black, brown, purple, white. It doesn't matter what hole you put it in. Nightlife is the vehicle for that, for self-expression, for self-beauty, for who you are, for
and
you to be able to...
For the fight.
For the fight.
Because as we know, like in this time in our world, like we have not actually, we can't celebrate. Right? Like everything is fragile and hanging by a thread. And so that's why I think, you know, nightlife is more important than ever. Like, yeah, people don't drink as much, but that's like really not really as much of like the problem as much as like we need to continue to, you know, cultivate spaces where people can intermingle and to be free and to be themselves. And that's why nightlife needs to be appreciated and not vilified and supported in government and in every way, because that's really like, it's a bigger fight than that. And ever since I've left the mayor's office of nightlife, I now speak around the world and work with government and with activists in Brazil, in Colombia, in Ireland, in Australia. I literally have traveled the whole globe. Miami, where they're like, have really, they've created war against spring break, like I reach out to cities like that, or they reach out to me to talk about how we can create an infrastructure in government and in culture and in society that respects and understands the value of what life at night and nightlife bring to society and why it's important.
100%. And you said it in the beginning of this, but you're a hippie in the sense that your love for everyone. You've always been that. You are always, you were, like I said, you are an icon. Ariel, you're an icon. Like there's no other two ways to put it. And somebody that's fighting for literally everyone is iconic. My New York City nightlife mayor, my fucking icon, my pioneer, my hippie, my cheerleader. I want to say cheers to you and cheers to everything that you've done for New York, because on behalf of New York, we thank you. And for everyone that's coming through and all of the the aspiring bar babes that want to own bars, or all the aspiring artists or whomever, you definitely remind them, even though we know that New York City is the melting pot and for where all walks are welcome, they need to be reminded sometimes this is where everyone is welcome. Everyone is fucking welcome. Everyone is welcome to come, be who they are, have their dreams, be who they're supposed to be, and you are the person that's going to help them get them to exactly where they want to go.
Well, thank you for that. I mean, New York is super precious, and super important. And we stand for a lot of what the rest of the world doesn't understand or recognize as is incredibly valuable. Like, this is a bubble that I'm really proud to live in and protect. And really proud for whatever you're doing to carry the torch.
Fuck yeah, to this bubble.
To this bubble.
To this bubble. Okay, last question.
And to champagne bubbles.
And to champagne bubbles, because hello. Last thing, my New York City nightlife mayor, 3 places you haven't been that you want to try.
That I haven't been. I mean,
that you haven't been. You've been everywhere. You're everywhere.
Anything you recommend?
Well, okay, so I just went to Wyan.
Well, I've never been here.
Okay, so this is
for Christ's sakes. This is the first. I'm stunned. I am literally speechless. Your attention to detail, your attention and dedication to quality. This is like Versailles. The Versailles of nightlife in the. Like, I can't believe what you have created. It is a gem, a jewel in the jewel box of New York City, and everyone needs to come and see what you've created. It is so opulent. It is so sexy. It is so rich. It is so fun. It is so cool. I want to throw 10 parties here.
To Champagne Problems.
To Champagne Problems.
To the next 10 parties you're going to throw here. Fuck it.
I'm down.
Hell yeah. Cheers, baby.
Cheers to you.
Yeah.